Let's see where this is. I hope it's still connected. Is it? Yup, it is. Nice. Dewa minasan. Hi, Hierofish Patrick. Welcome. Hello. I decided to come on and do the release before I take my shower. So, welcome. It was very interesting to set up, but it's set up. It's a little dark. A little. It's like Choto is dark kirai. Choto kirai da na. Eto ne. See, now it's too bright. Oh, maybe that's not too bright. This is what it is. Y'all know I always use the Spencer's tarot cards for this. I also have the Mirror Truth Lenormands on the side. Actually, let's open it up with those. And the Energy Oracles are on standby as well. Let's see. I got a little book here. Make sure I get all the cards. Oh. Oh, Nelly. Hold up, wait! So, has the garden been down here the whole time? The garden and the girl. This is why I be needing to count these. Because, see, the bottom of the box is like blue. But I've been seeing this thinking that I was going to tear up the bottom. And so, goodness. We know, well, it's here now. Okay. We make do. We make do. When I notice I'm missing a card, that's when we go down that route. So we're just going to be seeing what we're releasing now. Why now? I don't know, because I finally got around to it. I did forget to put a towel down, though. So I haven't gotten... The towel has been, like, dry pretty much every time. And then the few times I didn't use the towel. Okay. The garden, that's been missing. This is the garden. The carpet hasn't gotten wet yet, so... The garden. I think the garden speaks to public spaces. What number is that? The garden is number 20. Number 20 has been stuck in the box. Okay. Out of the box. Out of the box. Take one box. Put it with another. The ship in the heart at the cut. I feel like sometimes when I see the Six of Swords, I don't put enough emphasis on the space that we're coming out of. And that's something that I've noticed. There's a few cards, and I want to get into the courts a little more, because I feel like when it comes to those... I mean, I guess I always do it in the moment as necessary. And they mean different things at different times, so... The garden. What's going down in the garden? Y'all can't even see me. The fox, the snake. Snakes in the garden. Deceit. Lies. Trickery. See, I'm not going to mess with it. Oh, the water's feeling so good. It's actually quite cold today, which means I probably should have been doing this. I'm trying to keep my posture alright, too. So, snakes in the garden speak to the things in public that we may not necessarily see. A lot of times, if the grass is high enough, you don't see the snakes that lie underneath. But high grass it's an element of growth, though. Maybe it's the case that when we sort of grow to a certain extent and grow to a certain degree, there are traits that we pick up that aren't that great. The snake is number 7, so we have a 27 between these, or a 2 and a 7. 2 is a number of balance. It can be. 2 is a number of duality, depending on how we approach duality. Now 7 is a spiritual number. It's a number of studying, perfection, and acquiring knowledge. This is giving me like the lower vibrational side of Sagittarian energy when it can be kind of sort of preachy and very single focused. Like low side of Sagittarian energy, I get that as like kind of sort of crusader y, when you take your stance and you go out and you kind of sort of beat down and attack anyone who doesn't sort of take it. And that is, like I'm saying, it's like the underside of growth, where we can kind of sort of pick up these toxic mice. Oh, well, here's a prey. Where we can pick up these toxic tendencies, but not necessarily catch them. And so it's looking like the first thing. I ain't gonna timestamp. I will timestamp, because why not, right? I made some rice. It was a little wet. I think it's this rice cooker that we have. And so my mom ended up making even more rice. We went to the store. I'll come back. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all this rice? And she was like, well, somebody eat it. And I was like, that's a lot of rice. And she was like, well, throw it away. And I said, okay, we ain't throwing away no rice. So I'll fry it up tomorrow. But there's something about preparation, the space of preparation, and how do I say this? Let me jot this down real quick. I'll say 7:20. So there's something about the space of preparation and absence, preparation in that absence, and then coming back to even more. Also, something about new equipment and learning how to use it. And so there's one card that's face down. These two are at the bottom of the deck. So letter and clouds are at the bottom. If I go off of the colors, we have the heart represented twice, the root here, the third eye in letter, and then the crown in clouds. Because you can see there's a bit of a blue in letter and more purple in clouds. Yeah, you can see it, kind of. What is the correlation? Because I feel like there might be something. It's like it's hard to. Okay, so it's like there are certain things that we've been putting energy towards manifesting. And then I went to the store and I came back to even more. And my mom was like, oh, well, like the stuff that you were preparing turned out this way. I wanted to see if I can do it another way and get a different result. So it's that. It's like there was something that we've been energetically preparing ourselves for that maybe we were told to walk away from, to step away from. And it's like that Seven of Pentacles energy, but instead of staying to watch the grass grow, it's like you tend to it and then you step away and then you come back. And it's like when you stepped away, someone else came in, looked at the state of it, and decided that you didn't put enough into it. Now, this could be the space where we know what we're supposed to do, but then there's like this external input that tells us to do more. And then we end up with more than we know what to do with. It's very Abraham, Sarah, and I can't remember her name, but that energy. Where Abraham wanted a son, Sarah was old, Sarah didn't think she could give Abraham a son, so Abraham slept with the midwife, we'll say. And here comes Ishmael. Then Sarah gets pregnant, and here comes Isaac. Now, if they would have stuck to the plan, there would have been no Ishmael. But because there's an Isaac and an Ishmael, and going back to that crusadery type energy on the lower side of Sagittarius, now we have the birth of Islam through Ishmael and the birth of like Judeo-Christianity through Isaac. People say that Isaac is the legitimate heir to Abraham's throne because Isaac was born from his wife Sarah. People say that Another group of people say that Ishmael is a legitimate heir to the throne because Ishmael was the firstborn son. But then this side is like, well, Ishmael is sort of illegitimate, and then this side is like, well, Isaac is the younger. And so here comes this sort of confusion with this cloud energy over who inherits with this letter. It's like the letter is a will and the clouds is a confusion because something wasn't heeded. Now, I'm not going to say that a life brought into the world is a mistake and that it wasn't meant to happen, but things also illuminate other things. So, back into this, one of the things that we need to release is, I feel like it's not release, it's more so to be aware of, and maybe the release will be here. We need to be aware of what lies on the ground even when the grass grows. Because when we don't tend to the grounds, that's when we get snakes. And again, I'm not necessarily feeling the snakes as a toxic energy. It could be. But also, the garden, not only is it related to growth, it's also related to the public eye and common spaces. And maybe sort of like the life we live in public and then the life we live behind closed doors. It's just be mindful of the little things, because this is the root, this is the heart, right? Be mindful of your foundations. Just be mindful of your foundations. Over here we have another red with another green, the fox with the mice. This fox and mice energy, though, is giving me very it's trickstery, but it's not a bad trickster. It's very like angels in disguise, gods in disguise, holy beings in disguise, undercover boss type energy, where this fox, it's like there's this fox magic that happens that makes something appear as a mouse. And we know what snakes do to mice. Now, it's basically a test of the nature of oneself to know if it's like, the garden is beautiful, but what lies are there snakes in this grass? To see if there's snakes in the grass, we're going to throw some mice into the garden, right? Now, if the mice take care of themselves, or if we come back tomorrow and there aren't any mice, we know that there's a snake in the grass eating the mice. Or it could be a cat, or somebody found them and took them out, right? But with this garden energy, it's going to be on display. It's almost like someone's doing some shady stuff and they got caught on camera or something like that. But these mice are bait. And it's going to lure out the snakes. And then we have the letter with the clouds. The letter with the clouds, that could be like in the energy of an informant, like someone who tips somebody off. Two, can y'all hear that? Okay, no. All right, my fridge just kicked on. It could be an informant, like I talked about it earlier, didn't I? Like an inspector, but it was in a different context. This one is like a food inspector. Like there's someone's like, this restaurant has mice, and so somebody's been tipped off to something. And but this, whatever this is, there's some shady stuff going down in a public arena. And so this revelation, this reveal, this pulling off of the mask is also going to happen in this public arena. And there's going to be clarity brought into the situation. Let's grab a few of these to clear it up. This is not really release-y. Well, release the children, I guess. The information will be released. The public, the public opinion, the snare on the public will be released. The truth will be released. Yeah, it's to be mindful that you don't get too proud or arrogant as you grow or as we grow in our spirituality. It's time to release that arrogance. It's like there's been an evolution or a redirection of the ego in a spiritual manner. And if that's the case, it may be revealed soon, question mark. I mean, that's what it feels like. And even earlier today, it was like, you can't be a light for somebody else. They got to be their own light at a certain point. You can shine the light, but they chlorophyll's got to be on. If they pigments ain't on, they ain't going to be able to do nothing with the light. They ain't going to be able to turn it into sugar to sustain themselves. And then if they're not turning it into sugar, then the cycle is broken, right? The plants are supposed to take the CO2 and give us oxygen. We take the oxygen and give the plant CO2, and that's the cycle. But if they're not using the light to convert everything that they need to convert, then it messes with the symbiotism. Is that a word? Symbioticism? I don't think so. It messes with the symbiotic harmony of that relationship. Okay, can I clarify this? I feel like I don't really need to. So yeah, it's just be mindful of the things that you do in public spaces and outside. Not even in public spaces, it's just like be mindful of the things that I guess you keep in the dark. Because there's another force that can operate in those shadows, but that can take any form and any shape. And like I said, it feels like there's this energy taking the shape of mice to lure out the snakes, but it's not actually mice. You're entertaining very... It's like we're being watched, okay? We're being judged and evaluated. The proctors are already here. They came before stuff went down. Moon at the bottom of the deck with the tower. You can't see that. Moon and the tower at the bottom under cloud and letters. Moon and tower, it speaks to these sort of strongholds that exist in plain sight. It's like there's this skyscraper or this building that looks very inconspicuous, that no one really pays attention to or looks at, but then you find out that there's some seedy stuff. I said sheedy. Ooh, they had me almost trying to curse. There's some seedy stuff going down in this building, and it's not... and then it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know all of that was happening. What? You can't, like... I walk by that building every day. I never would have thought it looked so inconspicuous. And it's like, yeah, it's always the inconspicuous ones because, I mean, it ain't like folks are just out here advertising everything, but it's happening in broad daylight, but no one really knows. Undercover bosses. Okay. So that was interesting. I don't know what that's about. What is that over? This is gonna be whatever it's gonna be. Shoot. Okay. So let's see what else we need to release. I went to a Starbucks opened up in my hometown, and I went there today, and I was like, I was like, oh, I hope they don't have a line. And my mom was like, you know, they gonna have a line. They always got a line. But I was like, nah, not today. We manifesting no line, short line, at most two people in the line. We pulled up. There was one person at the window or at the ordering station. Oh, snap, hold up. The high priestess was flipped over. Cause like I saw the card back and then I cut the deck and I saw another card back. I'm like, oh, hold up, hold up. It's so interesting when I cut to those, when I cut right to it, because I'm like, wait, I'm not supposed to be seeing another card back. We got the Ace of Cups and the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Now, this is all about releasing. So, it's going to be what it's going to be at this point, because I don't know what that was about just now. That's about all the stuff going on behind the scenes, I guess. That's the Moon and the Tower also. There's these judgments going down, happening in these spaces, in these places where you think that foxes are showing up to the party to join with the snakes. Then you got some, it's like some of the foxes are foxes and some of the mice are actually foxes. Three cards. I think I saw the Page of Cups under there. Three cards. Yep, the Page of Cups, the Ace of Cups, and the Knight of Pentacles. That slow moving energy. Knight of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Page of Cups. It's interesting because we just saw the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups was under the High Priestess, and the High Priestess was flipped over. I'll give this 5 more. Okay. Well, this one came out first. Is that the Magician? No, it's the Moon. The Moon came out again. So the Moon's going to be sitting under the High Priestess. Then the Four of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. Just saw the Six of Pentacles too. The Six of Pentacles was at the cut with the Ace of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, I'm glad those didn't turn over because that was a lot. 2 more. 1 more. Last one. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands, the Fairy. This may not be the typical release that we usually have. Four of Wands, Fairy. Fairies. Might as well get some Energy Oracle cards. Justice. I kind of want to put Justice here because that's where it came out. And with the Four of Wands at the bottom. Look at this! See, that's why I'm like, a card back. What is this? Oh, we'll leave it as a mystery. I like surprises. Six of Wands is the new bottom. This is some really good energy. Maybe this is an update on the things that we've already released in the past, question mark? Or that we didn't release. I wish I had a little bit more room. That's fine. So anyway, yeah, we get to Starbucks. There's only like one person in front of us. I get my matcha lemonade that I've been wanting for a hot minute. And I got bacon with an egg. I know I said I was going to step away from meat, but it wasn't that bad, okay? And it was good. Well, the matcha lemonade, I think it was the sweetener that they used. It was interesting. I should have just bought some matcha powder, honestly. But I was excited. It was something that I've been looking forward to. And it's about finding little things to be excited about in these times. I mean, it's not only about that, but it helps. Ooh, oh, well, they ended up blending in. Let's see. Journey and the man holding a coin at the cuts. Oh my gosh, yeah, just more or less. Now we have patience and journey. Or not. Sure, let's take them. Oh, we got 3. They all in reverse. I'll take them upright. But we'll know. So there's victory, the woman holding a heart, and Metatron at the third eye. And we'll see if something comes up. So the High Priestess and the Moon is victory. And this victory, the Knight of Pentacles is actually the warrior, and this is Echidna. Echidna is the mother of pretty much all of the big monsters in Greco-Roman mythology. It's the mother of Cerberus. It's the mother of Typhon. I believe the mother of it's the water one that has like Scylla, the dogs around her waist or something like that. It's the mother of monsters. It's Mama Dearest, Mommy Dearest. It's kind of sort of a Lilith energy in some ways. Oh, 3 more cards. Journey, the Thinking Man, and Contract. Journey, the Thinking Man, and Contract. I actually saw the Thinking Man earlier today. We're seeing all of the dudes that we haven't seen. The man holding a coin and the Thinking Man. It's been all about the man holding a heart. He's the one that keeps coming out, and the woman holding a coin. But Echidna is the mother of all of these monsters. And then the warrior is the one who fights them. Now, we have a nondescript warrior. It's not Achilles, it's not Perseus, it's not Theseus, it's not Hercules. It's just the warrior. And so the warrior is almost like a title. It's the role in the story. Then we have the giant whale in Arachne with the satyr all by its lonesome. The Valkyrie sitting under this. This is interesting. Overall, this is sort of it's a process of being ready, getting ready, evaluated by the things that we've overcome. And there's also this energy down here of, with the journey and the Thinking Man into the Contract, there's almost this energy of overcomplicating things. So we need to release all of the overcomplication. We need to release like needing to know where to go, more or less. Because the High Priestess and the Moon, it's like the obstacles that we come across in our journeys, like those are all not pre-planned, but it's like we face them to rise from them. And we get what we need from each of these challenges. Now, instead of thinking on, it's like this Thinking Man isn't thinking in the right direction. It's like this Thinking Man is trying to discover if like the moon is made out of cheese or not, and it's like, well, you're never going to get to the moon to taste it. This is like, I feel like I know what this is, but it's so hard to put into words. With Contract, it's about taking the lessons out of the things. Like that's the thinking that we should be doing. It's the extracting the lesson from the experience. But it's like the thinking is typically directed at like, it's not broad enough. It's too specific. It's so specific that we don't necessarily realize when we're encountering the same situation in a different form, with a different face, in a different environment. Because it's too specific. We lock it down to like one person or this type of person. It's not general enough. right? Because if we look at this, then the thinking man, how this came out, the thinking man would be looking, oh goodness, would be looking at contract. Contract is looking forward, and his back is turned on the journey, right? It's almost like he should be thinking of the journey instead. But it's like looking at the journey as a whole, right? It's like if you play a video game, I know I use a lot of video game analogies, but if you play a game, it's like you get this thing at this part of the game that lets you do this later. It's like there are certain things, I'm thinking of Zelda, there are certain things where if you encounter a new obstacle in that dungeon, in that area, in that zone, if you encounter these areas where you can't progress any further, you can probably bet that you're going to come across an item in that same area that's going to unlock these things. But if you progress to an area sort of beyond that, it also requires the item that you got here to move beyond here. So it's almost like we're not having enough. Oh my gosh, why is this so difficult? We're not having enough foresight. It's like we get down here and we're supposed to use the thing that we already picked up here, but somewhere along the way we've forgotten about it. And so we're looking for an item over here in this area that's going to get us across, but the item that we need is the one that we've already picked up. Right? It's like when you're taking an exam, a final, and it's cumulative and not just based on that sort of part. So if it's a cumulative exam, then we can test things that you learned all the way back here. Let's just use victory, right? We'll say it's these three cards. We got victory, the woman holding a heart, and this Archangel Metatron 6 chakra. And the final is here. If this is cumulative, we can get victory, or we can get the woman holding a heart, or we can get Archangel Metatron. But if you're treating it as just testing the most recent material, you're going to be trying to Metatron it. And then if you get asked a question that you can't proceed with, it's because it's either woman holding the heart information that you're supposed to know or victory information that you're supposed to know. You're not supposed to forget the lessons that you've acquired along the way. And so sometimes it's like we're asking questions. I've done it, especially last year. I would do it so often. And I had a very good friend who would always remind me whenever I hit a space where I already knew how to navigate through. And she'd be like, Patrick, like you already know how to do this. Like you've done this before. You just do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. And that's why my word for 26 or for 27 was integrate. My word for 2020 is embrace. Interesting. Interesting word I chose at the end of 2019. I was like, I think my word for 2020 is going to be embrace, because there are so many things that I feel like I just don't fully embrace. And then by the time my birthday came around in February, and I was like, well, my word for 27 was integrate, because there was often these times, like I said, where I would learn a lesson, but I wouldn't integrate it, so I would forget. And so that's why embrace and integrate. And I had a third word and I can't remember. I still need to go back and find it. But that's why I made integrate one of my words. So I would be able to handle these sort of cumulative problems. Now, whenever I see the Four of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles in this deck together, whenever I see Echidna with the Six of Pentacles together, that gives me the energy of like monsters of our own making. That's energy that we put out that may not have been the most positive, that we then reap later. And then we have the Justice card right here, which is interesting. This could be things that, maybe not things that we thought we got away with, but I feel like a lot of times how it's coming to me, it's like it's coming back to us as a sort of karma. It's coming back to us. I can't talk about that. I was going to talk about Palm Springs. I'm going to try my best to not spoil that for at least, as long as I can. It gives me the energy. I feel like it's going to give it away. It wouldn't. So I'll try to just come up with a whole new metaphor. This is why I just start being general and not shouting out specific like names or movies or whatever. Um, but it's the energy of like someone who does something to somebody else, not realizing how much it hurts until someone does it to them. And then they're like, oh, wow, this isn't great. I'm going to stop doing that. It's an opportunity to kind of sort of clear karma in that way. But if you're not looking at this as a sort of form of retribution or as an opportunity to level that out, to pay it back, what you've taken out, then it can get you to sort of like double your karma. It's like an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. And so you can't keep taking eyeballs whenever someone tries to take one of yours, or whenever someone takes one of yours. At some point, eventually, it's very like the laws of Hammurabi, where it was like it was a eye for an eye. The laws of Hammurabi were very an eye for an eye, and so it was like if you're a carpenter and you build a house, and that house caves in and it kills someone's son, then they have the right to come and kill your son, right? It may have also been the era of if there's a thief and they steal something, then you cut off their hands, or you cut off one hand, and then if they steal again, you cut off the other one, or something like that. But it's like if you're not sort of just taking it as it is, there's an opportunity to kind of sort of double it. And again, that's like not really. I mean, I guess that is sort of like the contract. The contract is like reaping what you've sown, but with the thinking man, it's like just not seeing it that way. I feel like this thinking man is like overthinking. It's like he's thinking, but something about his thinking is not right. It feels very like reverse. Whereas up here, there's victory, the woman holding the heart, and the third eye. We got the man, and then we got the woman. And the man is going to mess this one up. Isn't that the way, ladies? Let me stop. Let me stop. So we have victory and journey. Now, already with victory, we can see that the lesson has been integrated. At journey, it's like not yet, so we got to keep repeating it. We got the thinking man and the woman holding the heart. The woman holding the heart thinks with a higher mind, thinks with a sort of a watery mind. The thinking man thinks with a very airy mind. And the watery mind helps put these situations into perspective. The watery mind is the one that's like, oh wow, like this is what I've been doing to people. Oh my gosh, like this is terrible. I'm gonna stop. The airy mind is, I can't believe somebody did this to me. And then there's somebody who's like, bruh, like you do the same thing to other people, but they don't hear that part. They're just like, I can't believe somebody did this to me. I'm gonna get back at them. And then here's this contract where they're re-signing sort of these karmic contracts. They continue to re-sign the same karmic contracts, get stuck on this loop journey, and repeat the same thing over and over because they sort of never learn. It's like the only way to break this contract is to learn the lesson. This is still, I can't remember, I know I've said it recently, the hate you give. This is very like the hate you give type of energy. The hate you give, you get back. And then you respond to that with more hate. And then it creates this cycle that keeps this energy kind of sort of stuck. And I guess this would be the moon, right? If I had to separate these out, this is the moon. That's the darkness. That's the illusion that you can't break. And so there's a certain amount of, it's not like a victim mentality. It kind of sort of is, but not really. That needs to be released so that we can come into this higher cycle up here with the warrior being the Knight of Pentacles. That's like learning from these past experiences. And it's about moving forward. I feel like the other knights are too quick, and the other knights are so fast that they can miss something. And when they miss it, when they forget it, they got to go back and do it again, right? It's like there's a list that's 10 items long, and the Knight of Wands doesn't even pick up the list. The Knight of Wands left as soon as you're like, I need you to go to this place. They're gone. And then like, and pick up these things for me. So they get to that place, they show up, they're like, hey, I'm here. And the person's like, okay. And then like, I'm here. And they're like, can I help you with something? And then the knight is like, I was told to come here. And the person was like, this is Walmart, sir. What do you need? And the Knight of Wands is like, I was told to come here. You already, like, you know what I should need, right? And the clerk is like, no, sorry. It's because the Knight of Wands left before the sentence was even finished. Now, the Knight of Cups will take the list. They'll try to memorize it, or maybe the Knight of Swords. So let's start there. The Knight of Swords will listen to the list and try to memorize it. And so the Knight of Swords goes to the store and gets all of the things that they remember. But surprise, surprise, the Knight of Swords forgets something. And so they got to go back. And then they get sent back to the store. They forget something else. So they got to go back. And then they get sent back to the store. And they forget something else. And then they got to go back. And then the person is like, this is like the 4th time I'm sending you out. Why don't you just write it down? And the Knight of Swords is like, no, I got it. I'll remember this time. So they go back, and then they forget something else, and they come back. And it's this cycle, right? The Knight of Cups will honestly just kind of sort of procrastinate. The Knight of Cups will wait until they feel like going to the store. That may never happen. And if it does happen, or if they go to the store begrudgingly, then it's like they may take the list, they may forget. It's just like the Knight of Cups will go to the store, will pick up everything else, and then go back empty-handed, or with a whole bunch of stuff that isn't necessary. And then the person that sent him in the first place is like, where's all the stuff? And they're like, what stuff? And it was like, the stuff I sent you to get, the reason why you went to the store in the first place. I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot, because when I got there, I saw this one thing, and I was so excited that I had to buy it and come back immediately. And then the person is like, well, can you go back to the store and pick up my stuff? And I'm like, yeah, like, sure, but like after I'm done with this. The person never gets their stuff. The Knight of Pentacles will write down the list, will go to the store, will get everything, and then some. And it's like, I saw that you wrote these things on the list, and I got this other thing just in case if like you didn't have it. And then they come back, and the person's like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. Excellent foresight. Job well done, Knight of Pentacles. Those other knights, they could take a lesson from you. But because the Knight of Pentacles sees the value in these lessons, it's like with the High Priestess, the Knight of Pentacles knows that they're going through something for a reason and for a purpose. Now down here, we have the Moon card. This thinking man isn't, again, it's like it's misdirected focus. And so the thinking man never quite figures out this thing. Now the thing is that both of these people kind of sort of get the same directive, right? It's just the approach that's different. Or they get similar things. Like the High Priestess isn't necessarily any more clear than the Moon card. The High Priestess can speak to secrets and hidden knowledge and stuff like that. The Moon card, it's shady. It's something unseen. It isn't shady. It's just something unseen. But this Knight of Pentacles has the wisdom from his previous experiences to be able to look at that list and, first of all, take a list. Second of all, to look at the things on the list and be able to predict what may be needed. And then because it's like this person is so enthralled or so enthused, so impressed by this Knight of Pentacles that he gets this Ace of Cups, sort of Page of Cups type moment. And the Page of Cups is like the opportunity to pursue this Ace of Cups. It's almost like this running to the grocery store was a trial, was a test. And this Ace of Cups holds a piece of his reward. And it's almost like it's a job, right? This Knight of Cups gets the job that he always dreamed of. This Knight of Pentacles, sorry, gets the job that he's always dreamed of. And this job is the first of many, many, many blessings. And it's almost like it's a cup. This Ace of Cups is a cup that will never drain. And this Knight of Pentacles can fill his bowl or his smaller cup. The Ace of Cups is like a fountain that never dries. And so this Knight of Cups can take his cup to the fountain, get it filled, and be satisfied. And there's always more at the fountain for him to get. Right? And so that's kind of sort of tapping into this limitless abundance and the knowledge of the limitless abundance through the third eye space, connected to the heart. Whereas this energy down here will keep going back and forth and in between or whatever, and never quite make it this far. Again, because it's like it's re-signing the contracts. I never took the timestamp. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. No, I'm not. I'll take that back. I'll just push it back like 10 minutes. I'll say like 26, I'll say like 30 question mark. Or maybe I'll go back a month. And then we have the Four of Wands down here, which is the reward. Now, I think Justice was did Justice come out or was at the bottom of the deck? I don't remember. This card is the Knight of Wands, Hanuman. Oops. There we go. We got the Knight of Wands with this Four of Wands. Look at this, though. The Knight of Wands is looking away from the Four of Wands and is hop, skipping, and jumping in the other direction. And the fairy in this Four of Wands is flying in the opposite direction, using her little magic in that way. And Hanuman is just so oblivious to the fact that this is everything. And look, he is down here like, oh, I'd much rather be in these karmic cycles. Because it's too good. It's irresistible. So I feel like there's a certain amount of control that needs to be released. And also there's a certain amount of... It's like ego, the garden and the gate was at the bottom after that. It is like a flavor of ego. But it's more so pride, right? Maybe taking things a little too personally. Or taking things personally to the point where you don't really see what is in front of you. Because with the High Priestess, it's like sometimes those things can be hidden in plain sight. But if you're too wrapped up in your own world, you wouldn't necessarily notice that. And we did have Metatron at the third eye. That was after the Ace. No, that was the third one. And that's the thing I said about the woman holding the heart, right? It's like she's thinking with this spiritual-based, watery type mind that sees beyond the sort of like in-your-face occurrences. Even though it was tied to a Knight of Pentacles, and you would think that the Knight of Pentacles would be looking at the physicality of it, but I guess that Knight of Pentacles was a little bit more connected than people thought. The tortoise did end up winning the race after all, did he not? Somebody, this one girl, she called me a turtle. She said I looked like a turtle somehow. And I was like, a turtle? How do I look like a turtle? I guess I'm the tortoise. Looking for my hair. Wake up, hair. I'm nearing the finish line. Let me stop. You'll never see it coming. Don't blink for a moment. Don't close your eyes. Now, the tower just caught my attention. The tower and the Eight of Cups. If you don't get away, it's best to come down. And I already said that. That's the mice that are approaching this. The mice are a lure to draw the snakes out, of the grass. But even if the snakes know that the mice are a trap, something in their nature can't resist going after it. Can't resist it. The snakes and the foxes have been coming out a lot lately. I was just like, I'll just stay over here where the grass is lower and neat and manicured, and you ain't gotta worry about it. And it's like, oh, even if that grass is low, there are still snakes in there. It's like, well, I wear cleats, so if there's a snake under my foot, it's about to catch a few spikes. So sorry. That's like me with the dog. I'm like, sorry, I didn't see you down there. Why don't you move? And then when he does move, I'm like, why are you acting like I always step on you? Why are you freaking out like that? It's like, because I just got stepped on last night. The Fool came out with the Six of Swords Harpy at the bottom of the deck. Did I not literally just talk about how I don't put enough emphasis on the Six of Swords? On the space of us coming out of choppier waters, going into calmer waters. It's interesting. This will be the last one. Honestly, this is the bottoms of the deck, so I'm pretty much done here. These are final messages, but we're going to do all the final messages together. What was I talking about? I don't remember. Yeah, it's within the snake's nature. They can't resist the mice, even if they know that the mice are a trap. They can't resist. It's like, and that's the thing, it's like, the snake could literally be on the pulpit, mid-sermon, and in walks a mouse into the door, and that snake is just on it. And everyone is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. It's like, yep, this is the person that you've been following. This person sees you all as mice. It's very, oh my gosh, I should make an extra dungeon for Persona. I've been playing Persona again. And it would be a level with like, the man holding a heart and a broken heart. It would be a level where it's like, it's very that, like there's some kind of leader and he sees his congregation as like, mice or something. As like prey, something to just like make money off of, or I don't know. Maybe that wasn't the best example, but I have been playing Persona 5, the Royal, and it's about adults with distorted desires, and their desires are so distorted that they don't even see the people that they have charge of as people. They see them as a means to accomplish whatever, right? And they're kind of sort of linked to the 7 deadly sins. So there's one of like gluttony, one of lust, one of wrath, and so on and so forth. You can imagine. But there's also one of like vanity, or was that greed? Avarice. Isn't it interesting that gluttony and greed are like different? I feel like they'd be like the twins. And then it's like wrath and lust would be sort of like cousins. Maybe, I don't know. Alright, final card, please. We'll take them. Caring Connections! Bottom of the deck is the Garden and the Gate again. Caring Connections, the Door to Spirit, and the door. No, Financial Constraints. No, that means the Door to Romance isn't with the Door to Spirit anymore. Well, they've been finally separated in the shuffle. Caring Connections, the Door to Spirit, and Financial Constraints. This is interesting. Um, if you've been wanting to manifest some love and some money, you might find a lover with some money. It's a 2 for 1. Maybe not. It may just be caring connections, door to spirit, and financial constraints. Honestly, it's very much, and with the garden and the gate at the bottom that clarifies this exactly. Financial constraints and the door to spirit are two different energies. The door to spirit is that woman holding a heart energy. Financial constraints is that thinking man energy. Caring connections is what you have to gain. Is that 4 of Wands that we literally just saw. And it's like everything is available to you through these or through this door to spirit. But if you are too focused on earthly material 3D matters, or primarily predominantly focused on this, you can miss out on an opportunity that's for you because it doesn't stack up in some 3D way. Even though in a spiritual way, it's exactly what is for you. Financial constraints with the garden and the gate, it also speaks to a certain element of comfort and not being willing to give up that comfort in order to go after what it is that you really seek. This is a space of settling. It'll leave you settling and unfulfilled ultimately. And then we have the Fool with the Six of Swords here. The Fool would be the person foolish enough to leave their comfort and stability in this garden and to go outside. And the Fool, or the Six of Swords in this deck, it's a harpy, so she has wings. Now, if that is connected to the energy of the woman holding a heart, then what's that song, Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong, where the eagles fly over mountains high? It's like you'll be able to soar. The Fool takes the leap, and then these wings just like sprout from his back. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm an angel. Or a bird, man. Who knew? But that's the trust in spirit over these financial constraints. I thought something flipped up there. I'll get like 2 or 3 Lenormands. If you just like drop out like 2 or 3, that would be perfect. Boom. Thank you. Bottom of the deck is, that's a terrible drum roll, the Fox. Le Fox. Fox and the garden. With the birds. The fox, the birds, and the garden. The snakes are gone. The snakes are gone. What's interesting though, I've been seeing so much symbolism around the bird eating the snake. The snake being Apep, the bird being, what's the child of Isis and Osiris? Horus, maybe? Apep being that sort of chaotic, dark energy, the bird being a divine energy that comes down and gets our roots through that chaos. I've been seeing birds eating snakes so much. And even in the show I was just watching, they have 2 birds standing on top of like a snake as part of their symbolism. The birds have come down and cleared out the snakes from the garden. And it's like they've had a little bit of help from the other side. Foxes, I guess, can be a little two-faced. But it's the energy of a double agent. So, I mean, he's quote-unquote good. Or this fox energy is quote-unquote good because it helps root out the snakes. The fox is number 14. The garden is 20 again. And then 12 is birds. That's a 3, a 5, and a 2. That's all at the bottom of the deck. I see the child. Ooh, and I got 3 cards. So the child is the only one that's face up, and it's 13. We just saw the 12 birds at the bottom of the deck. Here's the child. It looked like it may be a little cold, a little windy. It looked like this child may have been... It looks like she's kind of sort of outside on her own, and that she should be a little frightened, maybe. It looks very like Twilight. But also it looks like she's coming out of something dark and heading into something light. Yeah, that's it. It's like she's coming out of something dark and heading into something light. And this expression on her face is one of calmness, honestly. Even though the wind is like blowing, 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 there's a serenity in her expression. There you go. You see that? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's a little blurry. Maybe it's a little too close. There's like a serenity in her expression. With the book and the gentleman. Oh my gosh. The Gentleman's Book. 26 and 28. It's almost like this child knows that the fairy tale is about to take a turn. Okay, well, let's try this. It's like the child knows that the fairy tale is about to take a turn, and that I don't want to say the prince is about to swoop in and save the princess, but it's very much that energy. It's like the dark part of the story is over, and we're about to be coming into the light. This is a very smart child that understands the fundamentals of like storytelling, especially for children. It's like the child knows the genre. And another thing about reading a book, when you're living the story, you only have your perspective to go off of. But when you're reading the book, it's that high priestess energy of also knowing what's going on in the lives of the other characters. I'm actually going to read these. I'm going to attempt to read these. I am going to read them. I said it right the first time. I was talking to my mama. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing something about Speak Life. And then I was like, well, that wouldn't work because blah, 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 blah. And she was like, did you hear what you just did? You just said you was going to do something about Speak Life, and then you immediately spoke death right over it. Now, I said that because I was being a little low-key shady. Because she would always say life and death are in the power of the tongue. But she'll be so quick to be like, this is stupid, this is dumb, like this person ain't gonna do this person ain't gonna do that. And then she was like, see, I told you this person wasn't gonna know. And I was like, you just manifested. What the? I'm like, you just manifested somebody not knowing. So even if this person did know, this person could have just forgot. Because you're like, this person ain't gonna know. So I was being a little shady. And I was like, I'm gonna do this thing about Speak Life. And then I ended up speaking death on it as soon as I said it. And then she was like, see what you just did? And so I was like, don't you try to correct me about Speaking Life when you was just calling this thing stupid. And she was like, see, you can't even take the whatever I just gave you. I was like, you right. But yeah, it's like that child knows that her story is about to turn around because it has to. And it has to because it's like she knows that she's not reading like a tragedy. It's like her bedtime story, her parents aren't going to read her unless she's into horror or something, then they might. But it's like her parents aren't going to read her a bedtime story where there's not a happy ending. Maybe she can also see through the deception of the fox. Or maybe this child knows why the foxes are in the garden in the first place. And so if the child is in the garden, and if the child, it's sort of like a fairy tale sort of prophecy type energy, where it's like this little girls. Maybe I watched Despicable Me too. It's like this little girl is told by her grandma or some questionable magical lady. And the lady is like, if you ever see mice in the garden, know that the snakes will soon be exposed and all of your worries will be taken care of. And so one day the little girl is in the garden and she sees the mice. And so she knows that the story is about to turn around because she knows that the mice are actually the foxes that have come to the garden to expose the snakes. Maybe this child energy, maybe there's like this gentleman energy that's read their life back like a story. And the child within them knows that something is coming, that something is going to change. Maybe that thinking man energy is starting to become the man holding a heart energy, where it can also incorporate the emotional, spiritual, watery nature of things, where it can begin to learn its lessons instead of repeating them, right? Because we started with Letter in the Clouds, but now we have the whole book. And they say reading the book is always better than just reading the, whatchamacallit, the Spark Notes. Ooh, was it Purple Monkey or Pink Monkey? I think it was Purple Monkey. That was like Spark Notes, but free. I Purple Monkeyed some stuff, I ain't gonna lie. NGO, because I was not big on reading. Until I had one class, I actually read every assigned reading. I was so shocked. I was like, what? I can't believe I did that. So we'll read Child first. What card is this? Child is the Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades is the child. Book is the Ten of Diamonds. And Gentleman is the Ace of Hearts, which is like Ace of Cups energy. And we saw the Ace of Cups, didn't we? Did we not? Ten of Diamonds is like the Ten of Pentacles. That's the happily, well, that's a happily ever after where like the princess becomes a queen or something, right? She gets a queendom instead of just like, and they lived happily ever after in squalor. Not in squalor, but you know what I mean. And then the Jack of Spades is kind of sort of like a page or a Knight of Swords type energy. We'll say a Page of Swords because this is the child. And the thing, it's like no one else believed in this story. And so this child, who may be this grown man now, but the grown man has never forgotten the stories that they were told as a child. And because they haven't forgotten the stories that they were told as a child, they can see beyond the pre-programmed misery. Also, we go from blue to red to green. This is blue and not purple, right? Yeah, this is blue. Or is this purple? It honestly looks like it's purple on the right side and then blue on the left. If you can see that, it looks like it goes from purple to blue. So we go from the divine, from receiving something from the divine, seeing it with the third eye in a way that pierces through everything that it's like it's a break in the clouds. It's this ray of light, but it's a single ray of light, and so it's like, is this really going to happen, or like, is this just like, are the clouds finally going to lift on my life, or is this just like, all I'm going to get? There's something that we receive that our inner child recognizes. So then we have to go back down to the root. We have to remember this story that we were told. Oh, it's bringing a certain something to mind, but there are so many somethings. It's like we're trying to remember the rest of the story to know how to navigate this. But it brings the story to our mind. We go back down to the root. As we remember more and more and more of the story, we fix more and more of what has been hidden, broken, and misplaced within us. And then at the space of coming or working through enough of these root sort of issues that then lead to the sacral and the solar plexus issues, we can open a heart. And when this child's heart is fully open, they become the gentleman ready to meet their lady. But you got to do that healing work. The child card is about a child, new beginnings, curiosity, innocence, being unencumbered, being small, or making yourself small. Projects that still need to grow. It refers to a familiar person, for example, your own child, until puberty, so prepubescent child, or a very naive person. Curiosity, nativity, small, childish, dependent, unencumbered, innocent. The child card stands for childhood itself, or friends. The card symbolizes new beginnings in love, growth, and at the same time, letting go of dependencies, impatience, little thoughtfulness. Live your life in a playfully and carefree way. Start from the beginning. We start with the root, work our way back up to the heart. Start from the beginning, show rationality, and do not be stubborn like a toddler. It is a good time to start something new. Avoid childish behavior. When you approach a new situation like a child, you have to give away control. And I talked about how some of that could be a control thing. It's like a mixture between control issues and some other stuff. But that's also that Page of Swords energy, right? It's a renewed mind. It's coming into a situation, allowing for something miraculous to happen. Something miraculous being something that's never happened before, right? Sometimes it's almost like the mice can be something else. Like I was talking about earlier about how we can't be someone else's light necessarily, but the light of someone or something else can encourage us to then begin those internal transformations on the inside, utilizing that light to do all this inner alchemy and healing and stuff like that, that then um, gets us to the space where we can become our own light, right? Why did I bring that up? Yeah, because that's the energy of the Page of Swords. It's like thinking about it in a different way than what has happened in the past. Open up for new things so that something completely new can emerge. Exactly. Open up to new things so that something completely new can emerge. If you behave only on the basis of previous experience, outcomes will be as you already know. Exactly. That would lead to a repetition of your past. And that's the energy we were talking about down here with the thinking man sort of repeating his past with the Knights of Cups, with the Knights of Cups, Swords, and Wands running back and forth between the store, where the Knight of Pentacles only needs to make one trip. Children are open to new things that they have not expected yet or experienced yet. Sorry. They still dare to be adventurous, no matter how small it is. Right? It's like to a child, everything kind of sort of looks big. A lot of things can look new, and so on and so forth. This is number 26, and then number 28. Might as well exercise my little eyeballs by reading this tiny little book. So basically, the book card stands for a secret, knowledge, or science. Science. Oh, this is secret knowledge of science. Okay. Hold up, wait. So basically, the book card stands for a secret knowledge or science, closeness, unknown, education, not visible yet, a new chapter of life that is being opened, or new beginnings of something. And that's coming right after the child. Oh my gosh! But we have to approach this as something new. If we don't approach it as something new, it's gonna be insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting something different. Right? Education, secrecy, being mysterious, being discreet, covering something up, giving a relationship time, hiding something, checking for innocuousness. Let's define innocuous. I think something innocuous is almost like being inconspicuous, but like conspicuous. Hey Siri, define innocuous.
Innocuous means not harmful or offensive.
Oh, not harmful or offensive. Oh wait, what is that based off of? I know in World of Warcraft there were these sort of like moonkin, which is a form of druids, or it's a form that druids can take. or like owl beasts or something like that. And some of them were aggressive, infected, and would attack you, and then the passive ones were called innocuous. So I guess that makes sense. So checking for innocuousness. So that's checking to make sure that it's not harmful before you just assume that it is. I guess. Right? I guess it's like if you're the parent of this child, it's like making sure that something is child safe or baby proof, right? That's the checking for the innocuousness. Making sure that this situation is okay for your inner child, and that, I guess, so your inner child won't just get like beat up and used again, bullied or whatnot. Waiting a bit longer, appreciating the luck more. Appreciating the luck more. Appreciating the luck more? What does that mean? Sharing knowledge or expressing own knowledge, educating yourself further and questioning where the knowledge is coming from. Did you experience this knowledge yourself, or is it just something retold? Knowledge means to make your own experience, otherwise, it is just philosophy. What do you believe in? And what have you not proven by yourself to form your own opinion? You can reveal a secret only if you take care and address it. Only then can you understand it and work on it. In the long run, the unspoken can be more harmful than that which is spoken. Think carefully about what you are doing. Oh, that's some like heavy, heavy, heavy high priestess type energy right there. That's like moon energy and high priestess energy. All written within the pages of this book. That's a tome. That's a tome, not a book. That's like a grimoire or something. I don't know. What's number 27? Number 27 is the letter. So the letter comes after the book. And then after the letter is the gentleman, and after the gentleman is the lady. The lady is number 29. This gentleman card represents the querent himself, or the man of the heart. The man of the heart. The man of the heart. This is the man. That's what I said. It's like when that thinking man energy becomes the man holding a heart energy through the reworking of its root in combination with the third eye and the crown, these insights from spirit, but it's allowing spirit to show you and illuminate to you that things now are different. But if you can't trust or believe, or if you can't accept the things that are being shown to you, you got to be vulnerable and you got to be open with that heart, okay? It's the man of the heart. The card also stands for all masculine characteristics that one should evolve by oneself. As a person card, this card represents the querent, and it is a linchpin in hand. First, look at the surrounding cards. Next, look at which cards are lying between the person card and the theme card of the querent. On a giant spread, the cards behind the gentleman card represent the past, and the cards in front of it represent the future. So everything is behind this gentleman. The child and the book, they're all in the past. Everything that you need to know to continue and to move forward, you've already experienced. You may just have to revisit it, look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, and see what it is that maybe you missed before. The future is what this gentleman is looking forward to, and it's unwritten. It's unknown, right? Like Natasha B said, the rest is still unwritten. If the theme lies in the back, it is something that has been preoccupying for a long time and usually involves deadlocked behaviors. Yeah, so this is all like, I guess if you haven't gotten it, then this would be things in the past that you haven't seen. Like, you need to see them. I guess I ain't gotta keep stopping. However, if the theme card is positioned in front of him, there is still much more transformation of oneself. If the theme card is right in front of the gentleman card, it might be the most important situation right now. It also shows the most likely future unless serious things happen. In this regard, it is to be mentioned that only a few clients will try everything to prevent what is predicted, no matter what it is. In hand, this is recognizable when the heart and mountain cards are lying directly next to each other. And that's everything. I really want to, maybe I'll start using these more because I want to get into Lenormand. So yeah, for a minute, I'm only going to be using Lenormand and Oracle cards because, Tarot, we kind of sort of got for the most part. On some part. I'll say in some part. So that's where I'm going to shut this down. I didn't timestamp. Well, I don't have to. No. Yeah, because I only did 2 things. So I don't have to timestamp the end. I ain't going to do no timestamps. It ain't that long. It's only an hour and a half. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I'm going to get back into this and finish releasing all of the things that I need to release. I honestly don't feel that I need to release anything specific. That's why I've started coming live and seeing if anything came up to help. So I can help kind of sort of release it for the collective or with the collective. That's why I do these, y'all. I do it for you. Question mark. All right. So I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. Continue being amazing people. If you're an amazing person, do better. If you're not, or if you want to be better, and if you're comfortable where you are, then I guess you can stay there. Ain't nobody got to do nothing that they don't want to do, right? Bye.